Greetings, friends. We're back on our Doom bullshit. Yeah, this is just the opening demo. But yeah, sorry it's been a while since I've done one of these. I just been doing some other stuff. I actually completed my first finished Doom map as part of the Joy of Mapping. I guess you'd call it like a sort of a game jam, led by Jimmy from Doom World. Like there was a ton of people who contributed. This was over the holidays. But yeah, I have a map for that. It's episode 2, map 14. No, map 13. I can't remember. It's called Systems Crash anyway. It's episode 2, map 12. But yes, let's go into Doom 2 now. As you remember, we were on map 18, the courtyard, before, so this is map 19, the Citadel, also by Sandy Peterson. And this one is maybe notable for the fact that, one, I don't think it's generally not considered one of the more memorable maps in Doom 2, which I think is kind of a disservice to this map because it's actually quite good. I've said before that the period from map 15 to 20 is my favorite stretch of Doom 2, and these next two maps are part of the reason why. So this map is very like old school in terms of texturing. If you compare it, from Doom 1 to Doom 2, this looks like a Doom 1 map. It kind of makes you think of, I don't know, like maybe the Unholy Cathedral or parts of, trying to think of what other maps. Maybe a little bit of Mount Erebus, a little bit of, like mostly those two maps from episode 3. And it kind of, one other way that it kind of has that vibe is I think there was only a few places where there are actual like Doom 2 monsters in it. I saw a spider mastermind, or sorry, not a spider mastermind, a spider Arachnotron. But really this is mostly Doom 1 monsters, and there's a lot of demons, pinkies, and specters here. So this really does lead me to believe that this might have been designed either as an early Doom 2 map or it was designed for Doom 1. And, of course, the thing that we love and hate about id Software is all these games were made extremely quickly, in comparison to, what is common for game dev cycles now. So, of course, they probably didn't even go back over the map and, made and try to retexture it or make it more, fit within the rest of the context of Doom 2. It's arguable whether there is really a context of Doom 2 when you think about it, because the previous map also felt kind of like a Doom 1 map. And, I mean, I like both of them a lot. I like Doom 1, though. I like the mood of that better than some other things. And this map is also kind of like labyrinthine. It's not that big once you like play through it and know where things are, but it's really easy to forget like where everything goes in this map. It's like deliberately confusing, but I think it kind of captures Sandy Peterson's design ethos with that almost more than any of his other maps that I can think of. And there's one really cool area that I can't even remember if it's optional or not. You might have to go there, or maybe not, because you sort of get there through a secret. This is a secret, by the way. And I love that, like, the blinking, the dark part there's like a poison sign. So it really makes you think that you can't even go there. Like, you're just going to be trapped in a pit, but no, actually there's just rockets there. Which is a real dick move, but that's the Sandy Peterson design style. And here we're just, because like if like this is one of those maps that whatever path you go, the first time you go through a path, you're probably going to be thrown into a lot of areas that disorientatingly that you didn't expect to be thrown into. This is actually, if I went just forward into one of the doors earlier, this is the area that I would go into. And another bit of trivia, I keep thinking that there's a cyber demon here, but that's because of on the co-op version of this game, there's a cyber demon in this room. So it's not actually that difficult. I think I just killed an arachnotron, or maybe there's one coming up. I wasn't paying attention. But that's the extent of like Doom 2 monsters in this entire level. And I am playing on ultraviolence, so I'm not playing on a smaller difficulty level. But we'll go to all those little mouths and inlets that sort of output out to this. I love this room. This is the one room where he really tried to make some sort of eldritch thing going on. It looks like tentacles or something. Sandy Peterson is not known for his attention to detail, but I do think that like a lot of his maps, they don't feel necessarily super memorable when you play them, but when you go back to them, you realize that there's all these little pieces and parts, and the overall experience that communicates, especially in combination, collectively, is a positive one, and it's definitely a very unique one. Well, it's not always positive, but it's definitely very unique. Yeah, there's just an ammo box there, even though it makes it look like it's going to be toxic waste. But yeah, the overall impression that it leaves is a positive one, but it's definitely true that it's not as memorable as like say the next map. But that's not always a bad thing, especially when you're going for like overall effect. Like, Romero is much better at doing that sort of set piece type design, but that's not always what you want. And having some sort of labyrinthine map, and this map like is more kind of mazy and maybe more low-key in terms of combat, aside from if we want to talk about the billions and billions of pinkies that you have to fight that you can really just avoid, but I opted to try and kill all of them because I don't know why. Yeah, and I guess maybe the reason why some people might not like this is you just keep getting thrown back out into the same area. And if the areas were a little, especially that central area, I think is a little bit of a failure of to make it interesting. This is a place that you can go through from multiple places. That room actually really reminds me of Unholy Cathedral. There's like a similar pit, I think, with pinkies in them that you get teleported to. I mean, the feature of Sandy Peterson maps is staying really true here. It's maybe the most Sandy Peterson of Sandy Peterson maps is you get randomly teleported to places without knowing it. Doors that open from one side won't open from another side, or open kind of strangely. It's definitely like has that D&D labyrinth design, but I think this map does it really well, and it's very self-contained. It doesn't feel it feels like this map, is what it is, and it doesn't try to be more than that. There isn't just bits that don't have anything to do with anything. I love that hallway with those skulls that I just went through, by the way. I do like this room. I don't mind the fact that I have to keep revisiting that room. And yeah, I don't think I need to go through. This is also a quite interesting map in that you only need 2 of 3 keys to exit. That might not be apparent if you're playing through, but it's apparent once you find the exit area, which is up over here. It's intentionally like a sandbox style map in that like you can the way to the 3 keys is around that center. But yeah, you only need 2 of them. And I'm not sure if there's like one or the other is easier to get. This is how you get to this center area here. I'm not sure if this is accessible. I'm not sure if the game considers this a secret area or not, to be honest, because it feels like it's required, but it's only accessible via hitting that one section of the wall and then hitting another section of the wall where it sends you here, because there's a little like chest-high wall on the other side of that so that you can't get down through here, and it's also blocked off by torches on the other side. This also gives you the computer map, which can help you get all the secrets. I did get all the secrets in this map, although for some reason didn't in the next map, but I'll talk about that. I love this area. This is like, there's a, I don't want to spoil it, but I was like reading about a game where, you're looking at this map for the entirety of the game, and then it sort of revealed, part of the way through the game what the map actually represents. And this is one, I mean, it's not quite as cool as that, but if you look at the center area, you know, that's the Citadel area of this map, and then you look at these teleporters that are coming up. They each correspond with the four corners of that map and also the center. So you know exactly where you're going to teleport if you look at the map and you know, you see which corner you try to go to. It corresponds, the teleporters directly correspond with that. I think that's really, really clever, and nowhere else in Doom is that done. Like, Sandy Peterson often kind of just leads you blindly into areas without really knowing. By the way, I like this room. I went to all these effort to kill the imps, and then they just spawned in more immediately after. The combat, I wouldn't say, is anything to like write home about in this level, to be honest, but I think the mystery and the setting of the area is more than enough to kind of make up for that. They also give you an invulnerability sphere. I assume that's for handling the pinkies and everything faster. It's not really like, you know, there isn't anything like directly unwinnable or something, but maybe it does make it less tedious because you can just, you know, go firing your rocket launcher. Okay, yeah, this is the central area with the teleporter, and this corresponds with the map. I hadn't been here yet, so I picked up one of the other keys. But you can see that I already picked up the red key, which is like the main one. The red key is like the center bar in the like the 3 bars in the exit, and then the blue and yellow are the ones that you can you only need to pick up one of them. But it's possible that you do need to go to that area that I was just in. I can't remember. It seems like you do, but you also kind of access it through a secret, which is a little weird. Yeah, I don't know. I hadn't actually been through this hallway yet. Or no, I have. Never mind. No, I hadn't, because I killed these guys from the outside. But yeah, this sends me into a completely different area. Like, it's hard to know what even the dimensions are of the Unholy Cathedral, because there's so many sort of hidden areas and side areas, and none of them, like, you know, none of them are like super memorable. But it's just kind of like an attrition thing. Like, it kind of adds up over time, and it makes it feel like you're discovering these, like, you know, disused hallways or passages or places that you know, you hadn't seen before. I do like that sort of idea of, and see, here we're coming back from another side to where we were before, which is actually very clever. So there isn't actually that much space that isn't being used, but also that isn't, like, this is the normal way we're supposed to go out here, by the way, into this huge pit of specters. And you can see there's that chest-high wall there, so you can't really get over that because Doom Guy can't jump. But yeah, I like how, like, efficient with space it is. Like, you know, the areas connect up to areas that you're not really aware of, that you become aware of later. There's all these little nooks and crannies, and it's not actually that big of a space, like, on the inside, especially if you compare it to, like, a contemporary Doom map. But it feels much bigger by virtue of, like, the only way in is teleporting through that, and sometimes teleporting from the outside too, which I think is interesting too. This area on the outside has a noticeably different theme, so it's sort of like almost like the hell portal that's tapped into this citadel that's sort of like controlling it or something. There's like almost, you can draw like some sort of this environment is a little bit less abstract than, you know, for example, a lot of the John Romero maps, which are really just like abstract areas and they're not representational. There's some sort of representational thing going on with this map, which I also really like. And you can also see in the area surrounding, because, like, there's not really much going on in this moat around. Like, you can pick up some health and stuff, but it's not like super detailed or anything, but it's in the service of like this overall structure place. Yeah, here's where the exit is. I could just exit now if I wanted to with the red and yellow key, but I want to get the blue key. I'm also looking for all the secrets, which I totally didn't look up. I think this is one of the maps that I played it before, but also if you just explore it enough, you can find the secrets. Yeah, but it's definitely worth exploring. I wish it was a little bit more interesting, especially like that central courtyard area, but even some of the side areas. But like I said, the overall experience of this map, the overall structure of this map, is what makes it interesting. And even when you look at the detailing, and I think this is the thing with a lot of Sandy Peterson maps, you look at the detailing, and it doesn't really stand out, or it seems bland. But over the course of playing the level, it has a greater effect on you. And I guess I could say that about a lot of old games, like 90s. There are a lot of 90s games where, there might be some puzzling design decisions, and, games that look like super drab or whatever. But when you play them, maybe from the outside, when you're looking at them, you're like, oh, that doesn't look that impressive at all. But when you play them, the actual effect is much different because you're immersed in the world, and you're sort of being with the game, you're living with the game. I see that a lot when like people talk about like Ultima Underworld or something. That's a game that is like as bare bones, lo-fi 3D as you can get. And yet it's a game that some people still call their favorite game of all time. Even within this very minimal engine and stuff, all these things are accomplished. So, I mean, Doom is a much more straightforward game, but like I said, I think Doom is sometimes not accurately characterized as just being, the harbinger for mindless modern shooters, because there's all these different kind of ideas and design approaches going into these levels that don't really follow one consistent clear path. Like this really is more of a puzzle map, and I think the next one kind of is too. I mean, the next one you can approach straightforwardly, but there's all these side areas too that kind of make it interesting. And I almost think that some of my least favorite maps are the ones that try and be more straightforward but don't always achieve that. Yeah. Here's another side area with like a billion demons in it. I'm going to read from that April Agitation thread again. I don't think there's anything that I haven't really said here. But this was written by Linguisa from Doomworld when they were voting on, when the community was voting on their favorite maps from the original Doom 1 and Doom 2. He says, in a chapter of the game that focuses on cool new layouts and open-ended environments, the Citadel stands as a callback to some of Doom's earlier design, with narrow areas and crammed into the titular construct. I don't like the word titular. He uses that a lot, but whatever. The texturing is mostly old school as well, implying heavily that this was a map made early in Doom 2's development. That's something, or that it was a map made for Doom 1 and carried over. That's something that I have suspected. And if it wasn't for the new monsters or the main building being surrounded by a large moat, there wouldn't be much to suggest it was for Doom 2 at all. But the Citadel is still its own boss and commands an impressive ability to seem larger than it actually is. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. It disorients the player with twists and teleports as they search for one of the required keys in a unique objective. Whether the level's ambitious strides in nonlinear level design make for a positive playing experience is your call, but there's no denying that it's a standout performer. Yeah, I'd say the perception of this level is pretty mixed, because there are a lot of people who play Doom maps who are just like, oh, I'm all about the combat, and sure, but like if you're playing any of the old Doom 2 levels, there's never going to be anything that's going to, completely satisfy somebody who has the itch for modern combat approaches, huge arena sort of combat. There's nothing that is, comparable or on that level. So I think like if you're gonna, you might as well embrace what this is, and just if you're gonna play the original and, see what's there and what isn't. And like I said, I think the combination of ideas is something that I always find interesting. It can be maddening because it's totally inconsistent, but yeah, I'm looking for an area that looks like it's a secret now, but I've been to before. I don't know why it's marked like it looks like a secret on the map, but that's what I'm searching for at the moment. Yeah, I was playing this old game recently called Chips Challenge that was used to be. It's been re-released on Steam, but it was a puzzle game that used to be on Windows, like one of the Windows 3.1 discs. I had one of those like discs of like smaller games. I had one of those, and it probably was on there, but I never really played it. Until recently, until this re-released version, and it's pretty fun. It's also maddening because there's like no way to save in the middle of the levels, and some of the puzzles are just tedious as hell. But like what I really find interesting about it is you never know like what the next puzzle is going to be, and some are much more brilliant than others, but there's always kind of some interesting ideas. And I think with modern design practices, it sort of wants it wants these experiences to be more streamlined, to have more consistency and sort of comment on each other, and that can be good, but that can also just become sort of a straitjacket over letting these things be kind of weird and unique and different. And I'd say that that's true just in general when we think about Doom and Doom maps. Older Doom maps compared to newer ones, like it's never always brilliant. Like oftentimes there's just ideas and things that people try that are just maddening, but there's a kind of like spark there that's kind of naive and innocent that I really like, that's kind of gone now from a lot of design, and doesn't keep me like wanting to come back, because I do like that experience of not knowing what's coming up next. So I 100%ed that map, aside from items, but we're not counting that. This next map, I searched for as many of the secrets as possible. I don't know why it only shows me as getting 14%. Either like I got them and then screwed up and reloaded a save to where I didn't have them, or the game bugged out, or I just didn't walk over the right triggers or something, because I'm pretty sure I got most of the secrets in this map, so... when it says I got 14% at the end, I don't think that that's accurate, but you'll see a lot of secrets here. Yes. The thing I love, this map is famous. It's designed by John Romero. It's famous for the encounter with the Spider Mastermind and the Cyber Demon that is right through that door. But what I love about it is, it seems like just a huge, lava pit where you can't really do anything with. But it's actually kind of like a weird sandbox hub, and there are all these like side areas that you can go to that are optional and secret. And what I find interesting is this map appears like it would be structured just around, like, in the way that a lot of the Doom 1 boss maps are, where you really just walk in a room and you go to the boss. This really seems like it should be like that, but it's actually kind of this weird sandboxy map. It's not huge, but there's a lot of interesting little ideas, and it's not a theme that Romero really explored much in his maps, so it's a very unique and kind of strange little map from him. I think some people consider it one of his weaker ones, but I actually consider it one of his better ones, I think, because it's just different. It's so different and like out of the ordinary for him. Yeah, this is the structure that I was just in. That texture is originally from Wolfenstein 3D. I wrote these like articles about Wolfenstein 3D a while back, and I think this texture was also in Quake or something. Somebody was like tweeting about that recently. I love this texture. There's a lot of this in episode 4 of Wolfenstein 3D, which is my favorite episode, and particularly this texture is the level episode 4 map 5 in Wolfenstein 3D, which is my favorite Wolfenstein 3D map. And I wrote a huge long article about it. I might do a video about it one day, but I have playthroughs of that. But yeah, I love that reference back to Wolfenstein 3D, because it's a very underrated game, and I think it shows that Tom Hall is a much more sort of clever and creative designer than anyone gives him credit for being. Yeah, now I'm trying to wander around and see if there's other areas that I can get to. I'm pretty sure there's another way to get where you can just run and you don't even have to. You can bypass like going through the Gacha area. I'm pretty sure I've done that before, but I couldn't remember exactly how to do that here. So, oh well. But that's what I'm looking for. I didn't like look up this what the secrets for this were exactly, so I was just playing from memory. And I do like when I came back to Doom 2, I think like the Citadel and this map were maps that like I never saw as being particularly memorable or anything, that I just liked so much more than I ever thought that I did, because they were just kind of weird and there are all these parts to them that I didn't remember that were actually pretty interesting. I think it's really easy, like when you think back to things, it's easy to forget the stuff that isn't memorable, and I think this overshadows pretty much everything else in the map when you're playing through it in the first time through. But it is very clever in that they never really designed a map around this sort of infighting setup that is very standard today. There's so many maps that copy this having to make the Spider Mastermind and Cyber Demon infight, but that wasn't a thing until this map, and it's pretty funny because it's like it opens up and it makes you feel like this is like this really huge battle, important boss arena, and then if you go to either side, they will start infighting pretty easily. Like, it's designed that way. So it's kind of like, it's almost like making fun of itself or something. It's kind of like, because a lot of boss maps are in both Wolfenstein 3D and in this game. I'm wasting so much plasma here. Trying to get the damn arch file. Yeah, this is the only arch file in the map. It's kind of amazing how sparingly used they are in Doom 2 compared to, later custom maps. But a lot of those maps are just like you walk into, a room and kill the boss and then it's over. This like really makes you think like that's going to be the setup, and it's not at all. It actually just kind of meanders after that, and I really like that. It's like self-aware in a way. I wish it was an actual boss map in some ways maybe, but it sort of is, because this is the last map of the episode, so it's functioning as kind of a boss map, even though you just move on to the next map and you go into hell. But it's also the closest thing to like the sort of messing with you psychologically that was done in episode 1 map 8, which is, I think, a really classic map, and maybe goes further with kind of commenting on the video game tropes of Doom than any other map, or that in any other part of Doom. Although it's mostly in a service of like, oh, buy the next episode. But this map is probably the closest to that, and I love how many times the progression is very strange also. Like, there's a lot of like going up large lifts and dropping down into a new area. Here I'm using my radiation suit, which is the only radiation suit in this map as far as I know, to explore, and I found this little side area, so that was nice. I was very happy about that. I don't know how to get this freaking soul sphere that's coming up. There might be another secret for it. That's probably one of them that I missed, or maybe I just screwed something up. But this is definitely like a secret. I don't know why it didn't register me as getting like all these different secrets. I don't know. It's frustrating. I can't remember exactly how to do that. So yeah, that central guy, the marble thing, teleports you here, and this is a required path of the level. So, and this is something you can very easily, I think, if you run straight. No, if you run straight, you should be fine. Because they didn't know about strafe running at this point. But I didn't know how to get that soul sphere. I like that the ceiling is lava there. That's something that people attribute to like Sandy Peterson. But again, this is a John Romero map, so a lot of the like design cliches that people think of as being John Romero cliches are not really present in this map so much, and I think that's what I like about it. I think he definitely grew as a designer a lot with Doom 1 and Doom 2, and arguably maybe never like reached much higher than that. I guess like Quake 1 is about equal, like his maps are about as good. Although I'm not as familiar with his Quake 1 maps, but like those are the things that are loved by him more than anything else. So yeah, by the way, yeah, this year is going to be a very interesting year for Doom, especially with John Romero is making an entire episode for Doom called Sigil. And I think I don't know if it's Doom 1 or Doom 2. You probably already know about it if you're watching this video. But it's going to come out pretty soon, maybe in the next month or two. It was delayed a little bit. But he is definitely making use of like removing ports and everything. And it might be sort of a semi-promotional thing for whatever game that he's working on next. That used to be called Black Room, but I don't know, what's going on with it now. And there's a bunch of other big projects that, within the Doom community. There's more levels for Sunder, which is like a big slaughter map WOD. I'm more interested in Sunder as like aesthetically rather than something that I would play. And I guess the same goes for like Deus Vault, which is apparently going to have another episode this year. So a lot of things happening in the Doom community this year. In addition to like the Joy of Mapping thing that I contributed to that has like, I don't know, like 70 some mappers on it. And it's pretty consistent in quality. I was pretty surprised playing through it. So yeah, a lot of energy and blood still being pumped into the Doom community. But yeah, I do like this because it gets outside of the like. Sometimes some of his design can feel kind of, it almost like, it works within the context of this, but I feel like if he was designing all of Doom 2, it wouldn't have worked. Just because he does come back to a lot of the same sort of tropes. He tries to do it a little different, like every time, but it can get like, there isn't the unpredictability that someone like Tom Hall or Sandy Peterson has, because I think they're much more story kind of narrative designer type people, and John Romero is very much a gameplay designer. So if he has something that works, he's just going to use that, which is fine. I mean, I think the game industry is more oriented towards sort of the John Romero approach now, but I don't always think that that's the greatest thing. And I've said this many times before, especially in my like Doom mixtape videos. I don't really like this last area here. It just kind of feels like whatever, but at least it lets you go to the end. And this also just feels like kind of a less interesting version of, maybe some of the areas that you're about to come to later. But maybe he's doing that on purpose to like give you a preview of like the Abandoned Mines and the Living End, which are two levels that he made that have a lot more of this metal texture going on in it. But yeah, not the best closing for this map. I wish they would have just maybe ended it slightly sooner. But whatever. It's nice that it sends you back here. It gives you a chance to find secrets. Although if you don't know that you're doing that, it can be kind of annoying to get back to that area. But yeah, like I said, at the end it's going to say I have 14% secrets. I don't know why, but whatever. Okay, let's see what Linguisa says before I exit this map. Map 20 is as notable as the sandbox John Romero map. I honestly had forgotten he designed it. The freestanding Citadel type style of map was always more of a Sandy Peterson hallmark, and I like to think that Romero was trying his hand at something similar. And I could go on about the many secrets and non-essential side paths, all of which show another side of Romero's skill from the usual go-to map elements. But of course there is only really one big thing that people remember Gacha for, obviously. Which I talked about. But yeah, I do actually like some of the other parts of this map. maybe more especially, once you get past the obvious and kind of funny narrative conceit. There is more to this map. It's not a perfect map, but I do like it. And I do like the sandbox style approach in particular. But yeah, here we are at the end. I had enough time to where I could probably play the next map because it's not very long, but this is the end of the second episode, so I figured I'd just end here and we can come back later. And hopefully I can get all these videos done in time for Doom 2's 20th anniversary, 25th anniversary, I guess, which is happening at some point this year. I can't remember exactly when, but we'll see. Yeah, like I said, I've been not kind of sporadic about these videos, but maybe I will be doing more of these sort of videos for other games that aren't Doom specifically in the future. I don't know if I'll do Doom episode 4, Doom 1 episode 4, but we'll see. I didn't think I was going to do Doom 2 originally because I think it's kind of inconsistent, and you'll see that as we get into the next Hell episode. A lot of inconsistency going on there, but it should be fine. It's not like I played it enough to where it's not that difficult at this point. So yep, the next map is called Nirvana. Not a fan favorite by any means, but we'll get to it when we get to it. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching this video. See you next time.